Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. Bill is having technical issues once again. Well, listen, we're going to start a GoFundMe for Bill to get a laptop that could work. He's got the microphone. Let's just get something that work for him, but that's okay. I got my man, Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, College Cuttrell.
Gene, how are you doing, man?
I'm phenomenal. Your mic is not hooked up though. You're on like some other shit. But look, man, I'm the only one that seems like they're prepared tonight, and that's okay. We got a big show to get into, NCAA basketball. We're gonna update everybody on the tournament. Hopefully, someone has the bracket ready. Hopefully, just guessing. We'll talk about the bracket. We'll talk about March Madness. We got our outfielders list. There's definitely going to be a lot of conversations there. We're going to talk about everything that's going on with the sports bracket. We got a lot to get into. Shally's back. Let's see if he has any audio. Shally, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can hear you now. You still have no picture. Listen, it's perfect though, because your initials say everything about who you are. BS. But that's okay. Scholastic Shally, Uncle Shally, Mr. William Shallcross. How you doing tonight?
I'm wonderful. A little bit rude on your comment, but it's fine.
Listen, it's supposed to be rude. Get your shit together. I'm tired of dealing with you having no camera, no audio. I'm sick of it. Get it fixed.
Audio is perfect.
It is perfect. I'm lying about that. You're right. But we got a big show in tonight. Cottrell's finally on his microphone. Shally finally at least can talk. Let's get into March Madness. Cottrell, who's winning the March Madness bracket?
Well, right now, I believe it was Nicole. Is currently leading the charge here.
I want Nicole to win. I also want UT to win. So who is the number one guy that has Tennessee winning?
Let's see.
Or girl.
1 second here.
Could be a male, female. We're not discriminating against race, sex, or religion. You can have whatever.
So it looks like in our bracket, the number one UT team winning would be Zach Weisinger.
Used to work with him.
Indeed.
I hope Zach
got a good bracket going.
That's what I'm hoping wins. And nothing against. I obviously want anybody to win that supported us. But if you pick UT, that's who I'm rooting for. I want them to win the whole thing. So I'm rooting for Zach to win it all. But if Nicole wins, that's great too. Nicole bought like 5 brackets. So thank you so much, Nicole. But we got a lot to get into. Madness was crazy on Thursday. Guys, I could not hit a shot from anywhere in the court. I'm missing layups. I'm missing 3-pointers. I'm missing free throws. I'm missing it all. Friday, I couldn't miss. Saturday, I couldn't miss. Sunday, kind of, it seemed like everything came back to normal on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but the madness was insane on Thursday. What was your favorite opening round game, Cottrell?
For me, I would probably say Oakland and Kentucky, just because, it obviously didn't go in my favor. I had Kentucky going all the way to the national championship game, but just how exciting it was. And, it felt like everything that Kentucky was throwing at Oakland, they were still just hitting shots. So for me, I would say that's definitely my favorite opening round matchup. And I also love when all the upsets do happen, as long as they don't take out my national champion.
Yeah, well, picking Kentucky to go to national championship, I think it's done for Calipari. I really do. Shally, what was your favorite opening round game? Opening round matchup. I didn't like the Oakland-Kentucky game. I was annoyed. Oakland stinks. And Kentucky just laid over and let them win the basketball game. They played like crap.
Kentucky, I believe today they announced that he's coming back. So he's going to get at least one more year. But I do think there was probably actual serious discussions about it this time. He's lost 3 of his last 4 first-round games. That's crazy. That's just not acceptable at Kentucky, especially with the the level and depth and talent of players that he recruits there every year. I mean, honestly, I did like the Oakland Kentucky game. I mean, Kentucky screwed me as well. I didn't have them go as far as you guys, but I did have
them
them
far.
Oh, somebody did.
And I got an update for everybody here too.
Here we go. Let's zoom in a little bit. You can zoom in. There we go. Preppy in second place. UNC is not going to win though. RJ in third place. All right. So what I look at is this. I don't look at the standings. I look at the most possible points. Yeah. I don't know why. That's just the way I see it. And that's Nicole and Nick. It looks like Nick Reyes. Not bad. 1750. There's another 1750. Kevin Mooney. Kevin the Troll.
He's got a good bracket.
Who's winning out of us?
Me.
I think.
Are you? Do you have the most possible too?
I don't know if I have the most possible, but I know of the current numbers.
You have 1430 possible. I have way more than that.
You have 1660 possible, and then Bill has 1610 possible.
Yeah, so I'm winning.
Well, we'll both catch Cottrell, and then between me and you, it will depend on who wins. You have Tennessee, I have UConn.
Yeah, I think you're looking better. UConn looks incredible. I'm not going to lie to you. I just didn't think they were going to repeat as national champions. Show bracket's not doing terrible either. What does show bracket have? 1680 possible, so more than all of us.
Yeah,
that's good.
Show bracket's hanging in.
I'm fired up though. It's been a fun tournament. I can tell you I've watched every game of this tournament. Every single game. We had 3 TVs rolling over at Adrian's house. We watched every game day 1, every game day 2. I watched every game in the tournament. Every single one. After the opening first round, I think Oregon's game was incredible to watch. They were flying around the basketball. Loved NC State continuing the run. Really happy watching that program. I'll be very honest with you. The game that most intrigues me going into next round is Tennessee Creighton in the 2-3 matchup. That's a 2.5 point spread. Tennessee shot like terrible. Creighton shot terrible. They also didn't have any depth on their bench. When a couple guys got in foul trouble for Creighton, they were terrible. They were awful. Both teams kind of slid into the next round. That game will be interesting to watch. UNC Alabama is going to have all the fireworks. They have, I think it's at least like 10 points, or I think it might be more, higher over under than any other game. I think 19 points higher over under than any other game. North Carolina, Alabama. I'm shocked Alabama's still here, guys. You tell me.
I'm not gonna say I'm shocked. I thought they could score. I had them going this far, so I'm not necessarily going to say I'm shocked. The other thing too is that against Grand Canyon, Grand Canyon was a team that I don't remember if any of us. Well, I know, Gene, I know you picked them to beat St. Mary's, but as a whole, I wasn't too impressed with that Grand Canyon team. So once it came down to them going up against Bam, I just thought that was a bad match to begin with. So I won't necessarily say I'm shocked they're here, but I do think this is where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, I definitely had Grand Canyon. I had Grand Canyon moving on to the Sweet 16. They let me down. They did not play Grand Canyon basketball because I've obviously followed them all year long. I didn't just pick up on them when the tournament came out and did 15 minutes worth of research, and it told me Grand Canyon was a Sweet 16 team. I followed Grand Canyon throughout. By the way, just fun story. Did you guys know where Oakland is from?
Michigan.
Yeah, I had no idea.
The only reason why I knew
3 minutes left in the game when they were like, the guys from Michigan outside Detroit. I'm like, Oakland. I thought this was, oh my God, these guys shoot like Steph Curry, just shooting from anywhere. Oakland, California. Was I on my own branch there, or did everyone know this?
So I knew that. I knew that because they're in the horizon with like Cleveland State, Youngstown State, with those schools. So being around, I've seen them play before, not this year, but in general, I've seen them play before.
I'm glad you've seen them play before. I had no clue. I was not. Shally, did you say you knew they were from? You knew where they were from?
I do, because they play I found out probably about 10 years ago because they play Michigan baseball every year, like non-conference, like warm-up stuff, and they play the basketball team every single year.
Okay.
They actually should have known something was up when we beat them by 1 point to start the season this year when we were favored by like 20. But it's usually one of Michigan's first 2 or 3 games every single year. That's the only reason I know. So I'm not going, I'm not saying I have some kind of unique knowledge. I just know based off Michigan.
Well, I'm looking forward to these next round of games. What game did you just wondering? What game did you like most in the second round? What game did you think in the round of 32 was the most entertaining game that happened?
Oh, for me, it was easily Houston versus Texas A&M. I mean, that game going to overtime, it looked like Texas A&M was really dead in the water. They were down like 10 with maybe 2 minutes or so left in that game. And then just the unthinkable happened. Houston turned the ball over a couple times, and, Texas A&M just kept hitting all these tough shots. And the crazy part about it is they were hitting 2-point field goals that, on first look, they felt like threes. And that happened twice. First one was like clearly, his toe was like ahead of the line, but like that could have been a 3-point shot that potentially changed the course of the game. Then they hit another one where it was like they called it a 2 on the court. Kind of looked like it was a 3, but it was so tight that you couldn't overturn the call originally on the floor. So, those are just 2 shots that you just never know like how that would have potentially changed that game there. But the game itself was absolutely incredible, especially the last second shot to send the game in overtime.
Look, I am so glad that you texted the group chat. There was a minute. It's not a joke, right? There was a minute 41 left in the game. Houston got sent to the line to shoot 2 free throws. They were up 9 points or 10 points at the time. I turned the game off. I just turned the TV off. I'm like, well, this game's over. I roll over to go lay to bed, and Cottrell goes, this game is nuts. And I turn the TV back on, and it's like a 3-point game. Like, what is going on? I'm like, well, I don't understand. And when you look at the game, Houston was missing 4 out of their top 5, four starters, the top 3 scorers, all fouled out of the game. That game was called atrocious. It was a terrible called game on both ends. I'm not saying that Houston benefited from calls versus Texas A&M. They didn't. But the issue in that game was they were calling everything. Drive to the lane, throw a ball up, it's going to get called a foul. The tournament needs to be consistently called, and it hasn't. The biggest issue I have with college basketball and March Madness is the lengths and differences of college basketball referees drive me nuts. I'm like beside myself over how some of these games are called. Some games, they allow you to get away with murder. They're beating the crap out of these kids going in the lane. Nothing gets called. Smacking the ball out of their hand, nothing. And other games, all you have to do is drive the lane, throw the ball up, and you get a foul. And you can know within the first 7 to 8 minutes of a game how it's going to be called. The first game of the tournament was Michigan State versus who did they play? They played somebody in SEC, Mississippi State. And that game didn't have a free throw until 5 minutes left in the second half. Like, some games are just absurd. How do you feel like the officials have been, Showie?
I mean, I think the problem is, kind of like you hit on it. I mean, you have all kinds of different, crews from different conferences, and I think are used to watching different kinds of basketball, and then they're getting thrown in with teams that, they're not used to reffing. The only thing I will say that I think is a positive in general, I would agree with you, and I would say that it hasn't been great, but I would say it's been more consistent in the past. That I feel like every game I've watched so far, for the most part, they would lean on the side of letting the kids play, and I don't know if that was a conscious effort from the higher ups in the NCAA or whoever, but you brought up the Michigan game. That was the first game of the tournament, and there was constantly kids all over the floor in that game. But they let both sides go, and it's kind of no different than umpiring or refereeing in any sport. It's players always want consistency. Like, if you're going to let that go, then I know you're going to let that go, but don't start calling it on us with 4 minutes to go. So overall, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's been great as in terms of calling a game to the letter of the law, to a T, but I would say in general, I feel like the flow of the tournament, I feel like the refs have been letting the kids play. It's been a little bit more physical, and they're not calling ticky-tack stuff. And if I had to choose between the two, I would choose that. I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch a March Madness game and have a foul every 14 seconds, like there could be with the way these kids play basketball now.
But I think you're saying it. I would love the whole tournament to be called that way, but it's not. And that's the issue, right? Charlie, when I watch this tournament, I see some games being called exactly the way you're saying. And then other games, just like that Houston versus A&M game, was called awful. It was terrible. It was ticky-tack everything. Like, there's been games where everything's been called, and there's been games where nothing's been called. And that's a problem. I can't have that issue. So, yeah, I would love to every game be called, allow a little bit more physicality. But that's not what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I think it's tough. I mean, Cottrell mentioned it earlier. It's you now have guys that are used to reffing Horizon games, and now they're reffing a team from the SEC and the Big Ten, and it's just different basketball. I mean, you can slice it however you want. I mean, it doesn't mean one team's going to win or the other, but I don't think there's an easy fix to it, and we see it in the NBA all the time. You know what I mean? Like, we see there's certain crews that call games certain ways. And, if you have a certain crew that, there's going to be a lot of free throws in the games, and other crews just let people play. I mean, I don't think it's any different in the NCAA. So I don't think there's a perfect answer to it. And again, I'm not saying that you're wrong, but I feel like it's been less of an issue this year than it has in years past. I'll say that.
Okay. Cottrell, what are your thoughts on the officiating?
I mean, I definitely think the officiating has been inconsistent, but to Bill's point, I do think that's going to be the case when you have different crews reffing these different games, like when you have the SEC refs going up against, calling these ACC games, because a lot of the times throughout the year, like we talk about it on the show all the time, Houston plays such a physical brand of basketball that when they're playing in the Big 12, they're going to get away with a lot of that stuff just because those refs know that, hey, this is how Houston plays, and we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt in a lot of situations. But when you have other teams like going up against Houston in the tournament, personally, that's why I didn't pick Houston to go as far as a lot of other people, because I thought that this would be a big potential for them. If they get into foul trouble and things like that, we saw it in this game. They struggled on offense after, Cryer and, some of those other guys got fouled out in that game. And so I think that's just the nature of how the tournament goes. But they do need to do a better job of being consistent for sure. I agree with you on that point, Gene. But I think the biggest issue, though, is that this is a lot of these refs' first time seeing these teams play, like in person, things like that. So they're trying to call it how they've called their league and their conference all year. And it just doesn't translate all the time in the right way.
Just for fun, can we do a quick second chance bracket as a group and just pick the games out from Sweet 16 in?
Sure.
All right. UConn versus San Diego State. I think we'd all be in agreement UConn's winning this basketball game.
I would be shocked if they didn't.
Okay.
Agreed.
Cottrell, we're good
Agreed.
there?
Agreed.
This is the fun one. Illinois versus Iowa State. Illinois has absolutely dominated both games that they've been in. Iowa State, obviously beat South Dakota State. It wasn't really a problem, but Wazoo was in that game for a little bit. Who do you like in that game? Iowa State versus Illinois.
I'm going Iowa State.
I was going to say, personally, I like Iowa State. I don't think Illinois has been tested to this point. You talk about their dominance. I mean, that's very true. You can only play who's in front of you, but I don't think Moorhead or Duquesne was, either school had what it took to beat them.
All right, let's scroll down the same side of the bracket. Alabama versus North Carolina.
North Carolina.
I like UNC too.
Yeah, I alluded to it earlier. I don't think Bama. This is the first game where defense is going to matter for them.
Yeah, it's going to be a high-scoring game. It's going to be exciting to watch, but Alabama is not going to be able to outscore UNC.
We are 2 basketball games away from getting what we want. Arizona versus Clemson. Can I get the RJ Davis? I really want this game. I want Arizona versus UNC. Caleb Love revenge game. RJ Davis versus Caleb Love. Like Arizona. Can we all agree Arizona here?
That's what we want.
Let's go.
I think that game's close.
Yeah, I agree too. Tennessee versus Creighton. Now, I'll be very clear when I say this. I thought Oregon got robbed in that basketball game versus Creighton. I really believe that. And I don't have no dog in that race. I picked Creighton to win the game. I watched the game and it just looked really bad. I think that Creighton's not deep. I also think Tennessee played like dog crap that last game. They shot like crap. Dalton Connect was 3 for 15 at one point. Now, granted, he had a couple big plays down the stretch to dunk. He made all his free throws. But, man, your best player can't play that bad 2 straight tournament games in a row. UT versus Creighton. What do you got?
I think Dalton Connect bounces back. You mentioned his performance in the last game, and I told you they have one of those every 4 or 5 games. I think they were lucky enough to get it in the second round and escape with him having his bad game. I don't think Creighton's going to be able to stay in front of him. I think Tennessee's guards are going to dictate a lot of the play in that game, and I think they'll slow down Creighton's outside shooting a bit. I like Tennessee in a close game.
I agree.
I got Creighton in this one. I picked it in my original bracket. I'm sticking to it. I think Creighton is a bad matchup for Tennessee. I think they can play good defense on the perimeter. And I also think, when they're having good shooting nights, they're a hard team to outscore. This is one of the few teams that actually beat UConn this season. I think that Creighton's going to show up against this Tennessee team.
Well, we got Tennessee moving on because 2 versus 1. Purdue versus Gonzaga.
I like Purdue here.
Just saying what it is. I like Purdue also.
I got Purdue as well. You talk about a team that hasn't struggled at all this tournament. Purdue is definitely under that moniker.
NC State versus Marquette. I got NC State pulling yet another upset over Marquette.
I like Marquette's versatility here. I think they, similarly to Tennessee, I think they've kind of played their bad game. I don't think they come out flat in this game. I like Marquette to advance.
I think 2 games in a row, Marquette's been asking to get beat. I know the first game they put it on Western Kentucky in that second half, but them being down at halftime like that says something to me. Colorado definitely had opportunities to win that game. I like NC State to win this game as well. I'm with Gene on this one.
Houston over Duke.
Agreed.
I got Duke.
All right, so here's our Elite 8. UConn versus Iowa State. I got UConn.
I also have UConn.
I have UConn. That'll be their first test.
We got UConn to the Final Four. UNC versus Arizona. I got Arizona.
I also have Arizona.
All right, so we got UConn, Arizona. Tennessee versus Purdue. I got UT.
I got Purdue.
I have UT.
And then NC State versus Houston. I got Houston.
Houston.
All right, Final Four. Houston, Tennessee. I'm changing my pick. I'm still rooting for the Vols. I'm going Houston over Tennessee.
In that situation, I would like Tennessee over Houston.
I have Houston over Tennessee in my bracket, so
I switched it. My personal opinion. Still rooting for UT here. I got UConn, who looks so dominant over Arizona. I have UConn winning, even though I have Arizona in my bracket.
UConn.
I'll take Arizona there, but it doesn't matter.
I'll take UConn over. UConn looks so good. I'm going to take UConn over Houston in the finals.
Same. That is my final, so.
I would have UConn over Houston.
All right, guys, let's move on. We got some more madness happening tomorrow. All late games. All at night, which is great. We got opening day baseball, and then we got March Madness at night. Now, opening day got pushed back for a couple of teams. It's not going to stop me. At 3 o'clock, baseball's going on the TV. That's happening. Let's move on to our outfielders list. One to our outfielders list, and then we're going to do our season projections, awards, all that jazz. Jazz Chisholm. He didn't make my list, but he's
made
there.
Mine, though.
I love Jazz. Well, I want to see. Oh, look at Shally. Mike Trout, the top 5. I love it. I was waiting all day. All day I wanted to see where he had Mike Trout. So, because he's not on anybody's top 10 list. Nobody's right now. Now, I put him 9 out of respect for him, but he's like top 10 list. He's listed tier 3 now on anyone's list. So we all are giving Mike Trout way more respect than anybody else, any other list that you look at. But let's get rolling. Cottrell, you start us off as usual.
All right, so my number 10 spot here, I got Corbin Carroll of the Diamondbacks. Obviously, last year broke onto the scene, won Rookie of the Year, had absolutely phenomenal year for that Diamondbacks team. And not only did he do that, but he proved to be the best player on that team, and they ended up going to the World Series. Now, with this being his second full year in the league, expect him to have another absolutely incredible year here. This outfielders list is so tough because you got guys like Corbin Carroll here at 10, but so many of these other position groups, like if he played a different position, he'd probably be in the top 3, top 5 of those positions. But with the outfield just being as loaded as it is, this is no slight to Corbin. Absolutely phenomenal player, and had to find a spot for him to be on my list.
I have Corbin Carroll number 10 as well. A breakout year last year. You did start to see it in certain spots of the playoffs. People start to figure him out a little bit and slow him down a little bit. I put him in number 10 because of the year he had last year. I still think he has a good year this year. I am just a little hesitant to see how pitchers adjust to him this year. There's tape on him now. There's going to be, a lot of guys are going to pitch him backwards. I'm again, I don't want to say hesitant, but it's kind of the right word. I want to see how he adjusts to being pitched differently this year. Everybody knows who he is now. Defense has got to improve. He's probably actually on my list. He's the worst defender on my list. But rookie year, you still got to give him his due. World Series run. So he comes to number 10 for me.
He's not the worst defender on your list.
He's
not even close. You have Yordan Alvarez on your list, FYI. Yordan is the worst defender on all of our list by a million. He shouldn't be on our list. He's a DH.
That's why he's not on, and that's why he's not on my list for all those that are watching.
Adolis Garcia is my number 10. I am falling in love with this kid, especially after the World Series run. He had 39 homers, over 100 RBIs. I think he takes another step forward. I love the way the kid plays the game. I love the swag he plays with. Adolis Garcia is my number 10. My number 9 is Mike Trout. I don't think he's going to play 162 games. I think at 120 games, he's still top 10 outfielders in all baseball. He could still give you 30 home runs. He can still give you 100 RBIs, 100 runs scored at 120 games. That's how good Mike Trout is at peak. That Angels team stinks. He has no protection in the lineup anymore. It's going to be all Mike Trout all the time. I can see him being traded. I can see him out of there. We'll see what happens with Trout this year. I have him number 9 out of pure respect for the greatness.
Number 9, I'm going with Adolis Garcia from Texas. He's kind of, quietly had, I don't want to say quietly, but up, before last year, he quietly had 2 good years, back to back. And then last year with the World Series, just had a breakout, performance. Everybody knows who he is. He's still going to hit in the middle of that Seager, Simeon, Garcia, middle of that lineup for Texas, which is going to be one of the top lineups in the league again this year. He's kind of a late bloomer. He's 31. He's kind of really starting to come into his own. Workaholic from everything I read up on him. I don't think you're going to see, the lackadaisical flat start, hangover type, season from him. That's why he makes my list at number 9.
For me, number 9 here, I got Jazz Chisholm Jr. from Miami. I think the biggest reason for me that I have Jazz on this list is the potential. I know obviously that these are projections, and Jazz has had a tough time playing a full season. But I think with him, fully having this year to, truly commit to that center field position, you're not worried about him moving to shortstop or second or anything like that. He's going to be in center field. He's going to be there consistently. We know what he could do at the plate, and I think him being out there in center field, he's going to be a great piece to that Miami team. And the other thing is that, last year he lost his arbitration case. And so this year he's going to be back up for it again. And I know this guy, wants to get paid. He's 26 years old. Essentially, he's going to be playing this year for his money, and the money is the motive. So I got Jazz having a great bounce back year, playing 150 games and having a great season. Number 8 for me, I feel like is the best kept secret in baseball, and that's Nolan Jones of the Colorado Rockies. This is a kid last year, played a little over 100 games, and I will stand firm on this stance. If he played 150 games last year, he would have been your NL Rookie of the Year instead of Corbin Carroll. He's absolutely great at the plate, and for how great he is at the plate, he's even better, on the defensive side of things. Guy who normally played at the infield and made the transition to the outfield once he made the move to Colorado. I think this is a year where you're going to see Nolan Jones bat, 300, 30 home runs, and also give you 30 stolen bases as well. So I think Nolan Jones burst out onto the scene in his sophomore full year here.
Number 8, I have Kyle Tucker from Houston. Kind of the unsung hero of that team for the last couple of years. And he continues to keep getting better. Only 29 years old. Another year last year, 100 RBIs. Defense got a little bit better. This guy comes up with huge hit after huge hit consistently for that team. He doesn't get the press that Jordan does. He doesn't get the press that Altuve does or Bregman does. He just keeps putting up 30 home run, 95 RBI seasons year after year. Goes about his business. Very good hitter. He's old school. He's kind of an old school, dirty, no batting glove type guy. Love everything about his game. It's time he really starts to get recognized for what he does. So Kyle Tucker, number 8 for me.
Yeah, I mean, he improved his batting average 27 points too year over year. So Kyle Tucker's my number 8. No slight on him. This outfielder list is loaded. I have Kyle Tucker as my number 8 also. I think he's everything. I can echo everything Shally said. He's a great ball player. He definitely needs more praise and more conversation around him. That's why he's number 8 for me. My number 7 is Corbin Carroll. You guys might have him falling off a little bit. I don't. The way this kid is at the plate and the way he literally tortures pitchers, getting on base, stealing second. What he does to an opposing team is just incredible. And we got it firsthand last year in the NLCS. I think Corbin Carroll takes another step forward, has another very, very successful season. Yeah, he doesn't have an arm. We've seen that in the NLCS. But other than that, I think Corbin Carroll continues to improve everything that he's doing in Arizona.
Number 7, I got Julio Rodriguez from Seattle. This is the part of the list I got where people can start getting shuffled around because you're kind of really starting to get into the elite of the elite here. This is the hardest list to make because we're not doing, left fielders, center fielders, and right fielders. It's top 10 outfielders. So I have Julio number 7. Really slow start last year after his amazing rookie year. Came on a lot towards the end, though, helped Seattle with that playoff push at the end. I expect the same thing from him this year. I just got to see it. I got to see the consistency. We've seen kind of the ceiling or, what's close to his ceiling. We've seen what he's capable of. He's had that, he had the awesome home run derby performance, at his home park. Underrated defensively, honestly. He's pretty good defensively. He plays center field in a very big park. Not easy to do. But again, I need to get a little bit more consistency out of him to put him a little higher. But again, you could easily. You guys both have him higher than me, and I don't have a problem with it. You're getting into the elite of the entire sport of baseball right now.
100%. I think anybody 6 through 1 outside of Jordan can be anywhere on people's lists.
Now, for me, number 7, I got Kyle Tucker. Both these guys have already hit on Tucker a lot. Obviously, down there in Houston, I think he's the catalyst to that offense. Jordan's, of course, going to have all the great power numbers, but what Kyle Tucker does, his ability to drive runners in, I feel like he's, in my opinion, the most important piece to that Astros team in the lineup at least. So think he's going to have another great year. The numbers are going to show it, and he's going to be just a model of consistency in that lineup. Number 6 for me, I got Mike Trout of the Angels. 6, a lot of people might be saying that's a little optimistic here, but like Gene alluded to earlier, if he's playing 120 games, I like his numbers stacked up with pretty much anybody. I'm not saying he's going to be up there with, Aaron Judge in terms of home runs, but just RBIs, getting on base and all that stuff. Where his WAR is going to be. I just feel like Mike Trout is a special player whenever he's on the field. The most important thing is going to be him on the field. And I think he's going to find a way to play at least 120 to 140 games this year.
Number 6 for me, I got Fernando Tatis Jr. He took the demotion. Well, I don't say demotion, but he took the change from, playing infield to outfield, and all he did was go out and win the Platinum Gold Glove for last year. 22 defensive run saves, 9 outs above average defensively. It's really hard to argue there's a better defensive outfielder in the league than Tatis Jr. Started off a little slow last year, coming back from the injury and the suspension. Still end up with 90 some RBIs. Average went down, his power numbers went down. It's kind of the only thing that keeps him number 6 here. I don't want to believe that it was what he was doing, but the numbers, when numbers start to slip when you're only 24, 25, it's a little bit worrisome. I'm curious to see how he bounces back, having a full spring training, no injuries. Defensively, like I said, he's the best there is right now in the game. And I think also, with Soto not hitting behind him this year is going to be a little bit of effect as well. So, but number 6 for me.
Yeah, so I have Jordan number 6 for me, and I have Jordan number 6 not because of his batting statistics, because he's a DH. I can't put him any higher than 5 tool guys that are ahead of him. Those guys that are ahead of him are all MVP candidates. I think Jordan can be with just his bat, but he is a liability in the field. And if we're putting an outfielders list together, there's no way I can just discredit how bad he is in the outfield. I think Shally might be able to play a better outfield than Jordan Alvarez, and that's not a joke. I don't mean it's pathetic how bad he is in the outfield. It's why he DHs. My number 5 is a guy that's going to be an MVP candidate this year. You'll see later how high I am on Seattle. I think Julio Rodriguez has an amazing year this year. I think he'll be top 4 or 5 in MVP candidacy for the American League. He's a young, absolute superstar. I think he takes another step forward. He had a really slow start last year before he became Julio that we seen 2 years ago. I think that start does not happen this year, and I think Julio Rodriguez is a top 5 outfielder.
So I've Trout at 5. It's hard to, coming off his last 2 years, even though his numbers have been okay. His home runs per at bat are still where they haven't fallen off. But it's, his biggest problem right now is availability. Played 110 games 2 years ago and still hit 40 home runs. Last year played less than that. I think if he plays 140 games this year, then I think he's right in the thick of everything that he normally is. That's just $1 million question. If I had a crystal ball and I could sit here and say I know Mike Trout plays 145 games in center field this year, then he's probably 2 or 3 on this list for me. But I don't know that, and that's the big question with him right now. I think they'll DH him some this year, try to keep him fresh. But again, coming off 2 years of injuries, I think he has a solid year this year. I think he avoids anything major, and I think he plays a full year. So I think at the end of the year, I think he's in. I'm not saying he's going to win the MVP, but I think he gets MVP votes. I think it's another Mike Trout-esque year, but I have a number 5 just because of not knowing his availability.
I hope that he has a bounce back year. He hasn't played 120 games since 2019. The guy is, it sucks that he's breaking down. I don't want him to break down. He's a great player. I want him to play. I'm projecting him to play 120 games this year. And I think if he plays 120, he's a top 10 outfielder in baseball. I agree with you.
So number 5 for me, I have Fernando Tatis Jr. from the Padres. I think that this upcoming year is going to, I think it's going to be his. I don't want to call it a breakout year because we've already seen him be great, but I think he gets back to what those normal numbers look like. Now, I think last year with how underwhelming that San Diego team was, I think that kind of laid into it a little bit as well, why his numbers were where they were. And the other off the field stuff as well. But when Fernando's on the field, he's great out there in center field. Like Bill said, he's the best in the game defensively at the position. And I think what he brings to the plate as well, where his bat's at, this is a guy who I think could get some MVP votes this year as well. Absolutely love Tatis Jr. and I think he does rebound, and I think the Padres as a whole rebound as well. My number 4 here, I got Juan Soto of the New York Yankees. I think he's a better player than being number 4 here, but we've just seen it year in, year out, making that adjustment that first year with that new team. think he may struggle just a little bit early on. And the guys that I have ahead of him, I think they're just going to take advantage of, that's little bit of a slower start. 4 is no slight to Juan Soto. I still think that, he's one of the best players in all of baseball here. But I think it's just going to take him a year to get adjusted to being with the Yankees. And, next year, probably see him a lot higher on my list, maybe 2, maybe even 1.
I have Soto 4. This is where I kind of started to really I put the 4 of these guys kind of, I don't want to say like in a hat and picked, but you really kind of, getting down to the fine details here to rank these guys. Juan Soto is probably still the best natural hitter in baseball. He's moving to New York, 3rd team in 3 years now. Not easy to do. I think he's 25. He's super young. The crazy thing is, I still don't think we've seen Juan Soto's best year. I don't think we've seen the ceiling yet. That being said, hitting in a lineup either right in front or right behind Aaron Judge, I think affects his numbers a little bit, even with that short porch in right field. And defensively, he has fallen off the table. I don't understand it. He was a solid defender when he came up in the major leagues, and now it's almost like he doesn't. It's not an effort thing. But it almost just looks like he doesn't care sometimes. But he's probably, if you ask pitchers, he's probably still one of the most feared hitters, if not the most feared hitter in the game. Number 4 for me. I think he has a good year. I think next year, to Cottrell's point, I think next year is the year that he takes off, to the moon, and is probably the MVP next year. But moving to New York, it is an adjustment. That media, the way everything goes up there, it's definitely a change of scenery going from relaxed San Diego to New York. It's a different beast up there. So I'll give him a year to get comfortable and acclimated. And I still have him, after saying all that, I still think he's number 4.
I have Fernando Tatis number 4 for me. I think he has a huge bounce back year. You've seen it in the Saul series. The ball is just bouncing off this guy's bat in spring training and in the Saul series. I think Tatis is going to absolutely demolish the baseball this year. I think he has a great year. I have him number 4. Number 3, now I really looked at this and I got deep into this. The Yankees' projected lineup is Soto 2, Judge 3. So they moved Judge to the 3 hole, put Soto 2. So I think that Judge just doesn't play 162. And it's kind of been the case with Judge. He's only played 162 twice. Well, close to 162. Like, he's obviously taking days off, but he's only played over 150 twice. I think Aaron Judge is just a big guy, and I think they're asking a lot of him to play a lot of innings in center field for them. I think Aaron Judge is going to do DH a little bit more, and I think that he'll probably only play 140 games this year. It's the only reason I have him number 3, and I think him protecting Soto's bat is way more important than Soto protecting his bat. So I have Aaron Judge at number 3.
I have Jordan number 3. I think he'll be in the thick of the MVP race this year. Again, another guy that's been around for long. I think people think he's older than he is. He's only 26 years old. I don't think we've seen his best season yet. He does play in the field more than we would like to lead on. He's probably going to play 70 to 80 games in left field. He's not great out there. He's not mobile. Left field is small though at home. When you see him play in left field, it's usually at home. They have that short porch with the weird seats there. Really just limits kind of what he has to do. Hitting wise though, he is right in that conversation with Juan Soto. There's nowhere you can throw him. He will hit off speed 420 the other way like Juan Soto will. There's nothing you could throw him that if he's in the zone that he won't see, and he will not barrel and hit hard. He's been the top 5 in barrel rate for the last 3 years. And again, 26 years old. I don't think we've seen his best season. I think you'd say the same thing for both 3 and 4 on my list. And I truly believe that he's in the thick of the MVP race this year. I think that Houston team is going to be very good again. As much as I hate them, Jordan's the one guy on the team that I actually kind of like, him and Tucker, actually, believe it or not. But I have a number 3. I think he is a monster. I think he's a monster offensive year, and it offsets a lot of what he does in the field. Number
3 for me, I got Aaron Judge, guy that Gene just talked about a lot. I I don't have him 3 because, I don't think he plays enough games. I just have him 3 because, again, with this outfielders list, it's tough. You got to have somebody. Everybody can't be 1 or 2. And I think Judge, he's had the crazy year already, a couple years back, 2022. I think he's still going to have, another phenomenal year, 40 plus home runs, 110 plus RBIs, and still bat probably around like 270, 280 and be right there in that MVP discussion. But for me, just moving on to number 2 here, Julio Rodriguez, I think this is the year where, we really see him take off. We've already seen him have 2 consistent years back to back. I know Bill mentioned his home run derby year already, but Julio Rodriguez is a guy who was a legit, 5-tool player. And I think this is going to be, his best season yet. And, I know, again, piggybacking here off Gene, I have high hopes for this Mariners team as well this upcoming year. And I think he's going to be a big part of that. I think you're going to see his numbers fly off the board. He can steal bases as well. I love this to be the Julio Rodriguez just taking over the scene and really putting his name, firmly in that MVP discussion.
Number 2, I'm going to go with Aaron Judge. I do agree with both you guys. I don't think he has the 65, 70 home run season that a lot of people think he's going to. The biggest reason I think they're going to have to really watch what they do with him. He's going to play center field this year. And everybody's going to tell me like, oh, he's got a cannon. That's great. He's a big ass dude. With them putting Juan Soto in right field, which they had to do, they're now going to move Aaron Judge to center field. Playing center field is a lot different than playing the corners in Major League Baseball. He will wear down more. They're longer games. It's more running. You look how big he is. He's got to use his legs to hit. All that matters over the course of a year. And again, we talk about Trout. Aaron Judge is another guy that, he gets hurt once a year. He's on the IL once every year. I still think he has a great year. I still think he probably hits 45, 50 home runs, but that's realistically where I think he's going to be. He'll probably hit right around 300. He'll be right in the thick of the MVP, discussion as well. I think the only thing that hurts him is, I think when they face lefties, I think Judge might bat 2 and then Soto go 3, but the majority of the time when they face righties, he's going to bat 3rd. They're going to have to pitch to Juan Soto. They don't have to pitch to Aaron Judge all the time. Anthony Rizzo behind him is not the scary guy that people want to believe that he is. I know Yankees fans will say that he is. You're just being delusional Yankee fans as always. But Aaron Judge, again, I have him number 2. I still think he has an incredible year, just not some historic breaking every record in the world type year that he did last year.
I have the catalyst for the best team in baseball, Ronald Acuna Jr., number 2. I think the guy's absolutely incredible. I've been a fan of his for years. I hate that he plays for the Atlanta Braves. I have to hate him most times because he plays and he's very mouthy and he's very cocky and he plays for a division rival. But I can't hate his talent. He guy's unbelievable. Was the NL MVP last year. Absolutely ripped the cover off the ball, stole bases, and was the catalyst for the team that had the best record in all baseball. Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to have another great year with a loaded lineup behind him. He's my number 2. My number 1 is Juan Soto of the New York Yankees. He's playing at a field in which is like the dimensions of the Quarry playing softball. Like the right field dimensions are 314 feet. His pop-ups will go over the fence. I absolutely think that Juan Soto has his breakout year with Aaron Judge hitting behind him. I think he wins the American League MVP. I think he bats 300 with over 50 home runs this year. That's my projection for Juan Soto in that small ballpark. He is going to miss balls that are going to go out of the ballpark. Juan Soto's my number 1.
Number 1, I'm going with the reigning NL MVP. Pretty much everything Gene said, it holds true. I don't like the guy. He's on our biggest rival. I root against him, but you can't diminish his talent. You can make a strong argument he's the best player in baseball. Put up an MVP type number last year, over 40 home runs. I think it's 71 stolen bases. Plays a good outfield. Has a great arm. Not a fan of the cocky stuff. I'd rather he be a little bit more of a quiet player and just, let his play do the talking. But that's just who he is as a player. So I think he has a great chance to to go back to back with MVPs this year. And on top of everything else, I don't with him as well. I don't think we've seen his best year yet. I really don't. I think he's capable of more. He apparently really got focused this offseason, had the best offseason of his career. He started hitting earlier than he normally does. I think leading off, Gene used the word catalyst. And I think that's a perfect word for what he does. He's kind of the match that lights the fire on that lineup that is very, very good. His numbers will be through the roof once again this year. He'll hit home runs. He'll drive in a lot of runs, steals bases, and he's going to score a ton of runs with guys like Matt Olson and, Austin Riley and guys like that hitting behind him. So I have him number one. I think he's the best outfielder in baseball. I think he's debated the best player in baseball. So Ronald Acuna Jr. number one for me.
I got Ronald Acuna Jr. number one as well. I think it's not crazy to say, but just crazy to hear that, you think that we might not potentially have seen his best year yet when last year he batted 340 and had 40 plus home runs. Like, that's crazy to think about, with a talent like Ronald Acuna Jr. But I mean, it's definitely possible. But I just think that I don't think he's going to get back to those numbers this upcoming year. But, even if he's anywhere in the ballpark of that, he's got to be the number one outfielder in the game. And I think with as loaded as that lineup is, I think his numbers, while they won't quite get there, I think they're going to be pretty damn close. And, I just really had a hard time, talking myself out of putting Ronald Acuna Jr. at one here. I don't think he goes back to back with the MVPs, but still think he's going to be the best outfielder in baseball this year.
Love it. That's the outfielders list. It should be a fun season. Let's get into our projections for the season. Who do we have in the playoffs? Our award winners. Where are we going next, Cottrell? Oh, here we go. Division winners. Love this one. Cottrell, why don't you get us started? American League.
Yeah, so I'll get us started here. I like the Mariners to win the West. I know I alluded to it earlier when I was talking about Julio Rodriguez. I talked about it earlier and we went over our pitchers list, and I had George Kirby there. I really like this Mariners team, and I think they're young enough. They have that playoff experience under their belt now. I think they are ready to take that next step and take over that division there. My AL East winner here, I got the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm going to keep hammering them home until I get them right. And I think this is the year where they absolutely have to put up or shut up. This is a year where if they don't either win the division or make a deep playoff run, that team's getting blown up. Now, not saying Vlad leaves, but that team's going to get blown up in some fashion. And then in the Central, I got the Twins winning. I think they're the only competitive team in the entire division. Don't even think they're going to necessarily be that great this year, but I think they're the only ones that are putting together, a competent roster that should be playing playoff baseball.
I'm so proud of you.
Hey, I'm realistic with my list here. Okay,
about the first one.
That's what you think. Then as far as my wild card goes, I'll run through these here quick. I got the Yankees here. I think their lineup is just too loaded to not make the playoffs. Do think they still need to find a pitcher. We say it every year with them, but it's the truth. They need to find a pitcher. I got the Baltimore Orioles here as well. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually won the division, but again, with my Blue Jays take, I'm just all in on them. But I think the Orioles are right there, but would not be surprised at all if they won the division there. And then my last team, I got the Astros. I think they're absolutely loaded. The biggest question mark is going to come down to is, what is their pitching rotation going to look like? Are those guys going to be healthy? Like, when do you get Verlander back? Things like that. So ultimately, that's why I have the Mariners taking the division, but I still think Houston is going to be one of the most dangerous teams in the AL.
Shally, let's hear it.
All right, I'm going with Houston to win. Even with Verlander being out, they still went out and got Josh Hader, to close the close games in the back. That lineup is going to be healthy from day one, the beginning of the year this year, which it was not last year. I think they're just going to hit the ball too well. I have Seattle on my wild card down there. I'll get to them in a minute, but I think Houston's the most complete team in the West. So I think Oakland's going to stink again. Angels are definitely going to go backwards. And I think you have three really good teams after that. I think Houston's just the most complete. I will not wimp out on this pick like I did last year. I think Baltimore's the best team in the East, and I really don't think it's close. You got playoff experience from all those young kids last year. There's a lot of people picking Gunnar Henderson to win MVP this year. He's going to be another year better. Adley Rushman is the leader of that team. Jackson Holiday, who had a monster spring, they're not even keeping up to start the year to, keep his year of eligibility. He'll be up in like a month or so, though. This team is loaded. They're not going anywhere. They're loaded. They have experience. They're all young kids. They all love playing to each other. I said it last year. This team is going to be a problem for the next decade. So all the Yankees fans, all the Red Sox fans, that are used to getting your way and crying and hooting and hollering, it ain't happening no more. Baltimore is not going anywhere. And then on top of that, Major League Baseball just ratified their new owner this year who loves to spend money. He's going to re-sign all these kids. They're not going anywhere. Baltimore Orioles are going to be a force for the next decade. Mark it down. In the Central, kind of have to agree with Cottrell here. I think the Twins are the only team that's any kind of semblance of a complete team. I think Detroit's still a year away. I do like Detroit's pitching. I hate their lineup, though. You got Pablo Lopez at the top of the Twins rotation. I think they're going to be very good. They have a pretty good lineup. I think it's like last year. I think it's, kind of the less of the losers more than somebody that's going to go out and win. Oh, stop it, Alex. But I like Detroit to keep it close. I think Cleveland will be in the mix, but again, I think the Twins probably win the division by 5 or 6 games. Wild cards, I do like the Yankees. It's hard not to like that lineup. They're going to produce a lot of runs, but again, they don't have pitching, and their reigning Cy Young Award winner and ace of the staff is he's on the shelf already with elbow issues, which you never want to see. So I think the Yankee season could go south real quick. I will say that lineup, I think, keeps them afloat and keeps them in the wild card contention. So I think they sneak in. I have Seattle next. I love their pitching staff. They just still struggle to hit. They struggle to generate runs for Miller and Kirby and Castillo and all those guys. Great rotation. I think it's going to win them a lot of games. That's why I think they're firmly in the wild card spot. I think they get in. Not a team you want to face in the playoffs, though, because they have 3 guys, 3 pretty much number ones they can run at you. So, and last but not least, defending champions, Texas Rangers. Again, good lineup, really good lineup, actually. One of the better ones in baseball. Good pitching staff. You should get that old guy, that we've talked about before, DeGrom, back at some point this year, which nobody's talking about. And I think, losing Jordan Montgomery hurt a little bit, but I think with the pitching they have, plus getting him back at some point, and then just the studs they have in the middle of that lineup, I think Texas makes the wild card again. So those are my 6.
I'll go through mine a little quicker. I have the Seattle Mariners winning the division. I love the pitching staff. I already told you, I think Julio Rodriguez is another monster year. I love what Seattle's doing. The Baltimore Orioles, I was on them last year. I'm on them even bigger this year. They added a bona fide ace in Corbin Burns. They're going to be great this year. I love what the Orioles are doing. Twins are the only team of relevancy in the Central. I have the Twins winning the Central. I went back and forth on this one. Blue Jays, Yankees, Blue Jays, Yankees, Blue Jays, Yankees. I went with the Blue Jays. I don't feel great about it. I think that the Yankees, I don't think Garrett Cole pitches this year. I really don't. I don't think he pitches this entire year. So I don't think the Yankees have the pitching staff, but I do think they have a murderous row of a lineup. So we'll see. I have the Houston Astros as a wild card and the Texas Rangers as a wild card. I have 3 teams getting in out of the AL West. I think it's the most loaded division in all baseball. So that's my projections for the playoffs, and I'm ready to get into some awards, my friend.
We got to go with the NL side of things.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to go first there.
Yeah, I'll go first. So this way we can kind of not take 2 hours. I'll take the Atlanta Braves to be the best team in all baseball. I think they're incredible. Top to bottom, they're the best team in baseball. They just keep adding. I like the Cincinnati Reds to win the division for the NL Central. I think that as a whole, the Reds team is coming. They got a lot of really, really good players. The Dodgers have the most loaded team in all baseball. This is assuming everything but Ohtani gets figured out because he is the best DH in baseball this year. I have Arizona going back to the playoffs. I think that the signing that just happened yesterday, them getting another pitcher in that staff, will help Arizona. They are my 6th spot. I have San Diego in the 5. I think they have a great year this year. Xander has a good year. Tatis has a good year. Machado, Cronenworth, love the team. They added Blake Snell. I think San Diego is going to be a force. And I got the Phillies competing with the Braves, being a lot closer with the Braves this year, but I don't have them overtaking the Braves. I have the Phillies in the first wild card spot.
All right. So NL East, I have Atlanta, just like last year. Gene kind of said, I think they're honestly, I think even more than LA to some degree. I think they're the most complete team in baseball. I have them in the East. I have the Cardinals with a rebound year this year. I don't think Arenado and Goldschmidt start out in the sewer like they did last year. I think it's a very, very competitive NL Central this year. I have 2 teams from that division making the playoffs. Dodgers, like Gene said, they went out and spent all the money. They got all the superstars. Crazy lineup. I think they're still a little, they have Glass now. Kershaw's damn near 40. We'll see how Walker Buehler looks. And Yamamoto, I think if you're a Dodgers fan, you got to be a little bit concerned because he's pretty much been shelled every time he's gone out this year. But the big question mark in Dodgerland is Shohei. And I think it's going to be a big question mark all year. I don't think that situation is going away anytime soon whatsoever. And I'm on record saying that I think he's lying through his teeth. So, wild card wise, number 4, I have the Phillies as well. I think the Phillies keep it closer than they did last year. I think that's a good observation by Gene. I think the East goes down to the last week to 10 days this year. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. I think the Phillies are a very hungry team. A little bit of a bitter taste after the way that season ended last year against Arizona. I think they compete this year in best bullpen in baseball. I think they win a lot of games. I agree with Gene as well. I like the San Diego Padres. However you want to slice it, I think there was personality issues in that locker room. Machado's talked about it. Have it be Soto, Tatis Jr., whoever it is. I think that team kind of regroups a little bit this year. Still have a good pitching staff, even after losing Snell. I think they get in from the West. I probably would change this now after the signing that Gene mentioned, but I already had it written down with the Reds. I think the Reds were kind of one of the feel-good stories from last year, and they kind of fell apart the last 2-3 weeks of the year. I don't think they do that this year. I think they give it a run. I would say Arizona having kind of a big 3 in their rotation now, adding Jordan Montgomery to Kelly and the guys, I think gives them a little bit of a leg up. But I still like the upstart Reds. I think they're kind of like Baltimore from last year. Not the same talent level, but same kind of feel about the team. I think they got a lot of experience from making the run last year. I think they hang in it this year because I don't think the Central's going to be, regardless of who wins it, I don't think Central's a division anybody runs away with. So I think if they can stay in it, they got a shot.
All right, and then for me, just like these guys, I have the Braves. I think, we talked about how complete they are as a team. I think they're going to be phenomenal. Got the Dodgers as well. If they don't have the best lineup in baseball, it's definitely up there with the best lineups. I think no doubt about it, top 3, regardless of how that pitching situation shakes out there with the health of everybody. And then in the Central, I got the Reds. I think that's a young team that's going to take that next step and, ultimately get that lineup going. And, I think Hunter Green is going to be a key part, going to be the ace of that staff after everything shakes out. I think they're going to win the Central and make the playoffs. Wild card wise, I got the Phillies here. Not saying that they're going to have like a 100 win season or anything like that. I don't think it's necessarily going to come down to like that final week, but I think the Phillies are never going to be in doubt of missing the playoffs or anything like that. I think they're going to be firm in that number 1 wild card spot. Second wild card spot, I got the Padres. Just like these guys, I do have them making that bounce back year. I think that, something shifting in the locker room. I think they're going to be perfectly fine this upcoming year. Too much talent not to perform. And then in my last spot, I got the Miami Marlins. I think this is the team that's just last year, they kind of teetered on the border there. They were in the wild card race for a long time. I like what they have on the roster. And I think, Skip coming in and, taking over as manager last year really changed the aura around that team. I think they're going to take a step next year and sneak into the playoffs.
Okay. Well, let's move on to look at this. AL Rookie of the Year. Guys, I hate to break it to you. The guy's missing the first month of the season. He's incredible. Love Jackson Holiday. Probably would have been my projection if they didn't send him down. I hate that they sent this kid down. Wyatt Langford is an absolute animal. Kid's a monster. He's going to start in the big league roster. I love what Wyatt Langford can do for the Texas Rangers this year. And you guys can explain to me why you guys are wrong.
So I got Jackson Holiday here. Gene, funny enough, you actually put me on how crazy talented this kid was about a month ago, and we were talking about the MLB season coming up, things like that, and how they had the number one prospect in waiting. And so seeing the kid playing spring training and really just seeing him take off, all the spring training, and then seeing him not make that initial roster definitely was kind of confusing there. But the one thing you have to look at with this Orioles team is that this is nothing new with them. Even with Ale Rutschman, he came up the end of May. I think there's going to be a very similar situation. And with how Jackson has looked, at least if he's up and he's playing before June, I think he has all the talent in the world. I think he has all the ability to put up enough numbers to still win Rookie of the Year this upcoming year.
I agree. I mean, listen, the logical choice is it's one of these two kids. It's either Jackson Holiday, who's the number one prospect in baseball, or Wyatt Langford, who's number 3. Langford's going to have the benefit of playing in all of April. Jackson will be up in May. It's going to be the difference of, probably roughly around 100 at bats. I think if Jackson Holiday plays to his capabilities, more than capable of making up that distance. And we've seen it happen before where guys have come up in May and won Rookie of the Year. So it's not some, unprecedented thing for it to happen. They're both in really good positions. They're both on teams with great lineups. No stress or pressure on either one of them. So it's going to be, it's going to be very interesting to watch this race over the course of the year. Both, like I said, you have 2 of the top 3 prospects in all of baseball, going to be duking it out. So, and they're both on really good teams. So it's going to be fun to watch.
I know. Rookie of the Year. I want to see if you guys went with Yamamoto. There's someone. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. The Yamamoto hype, the more and more I watch him, he looks scared. He doesn't look ready. I think he takes a month or 2 to get his bearings. That's why I took him out of my National League Rookie of the Year conversation. Jackson Chourio is going to start. He's going to be an everyday player for the Milwaukee Brewers. The guy's a stud. I think he's the number 2 prospect in all baseball. I think he wins NL Rookie of the Year. And I think that Brewers team's competitive.
So funny enough, for me at least, with Yamamoto, I think that regardless of how he's looked so far, I think that he's still going to have so many wins under his belt just pitching for that Dodgers staff. And I do think that's going to make a difference. Now, he can't go out there and have an ERA of 5 and expect to, win the award. But I think over time he will get better. And I think that Dodgers team will, if he's playing games and they're up 4-0 in the first inning, like, he should be out there pitching with more confidence and things like that. So I think the Seoul series, obviously we know he got lit up there, but let's not act like that Padres lineup is anything to sneeze at. There
lit up in spring training too. He won't play. He won't.
Yeah, I get it. But those are his first times in the MLB. That's what spring training is for.
Cottrell, he will not pitch into the 6th inning until May.
I mean, that's okay. You say that, but let's not forget how they had Tony Gonsolin a couple years ago, and he was talking about being an all-star starter, and he never got that deep in the game. So I just think Yamamoto's in the position where he could benefit from being on the team that he's on. But I wanted to say, though, I think the one rookie that could potentially take over, I'm sticking with pitcher, Paul Skeens of the Pirates. Saw him pitch a couple games during spring training. I was surprised he didn't make the roster there. And that's ultimately why I didn't pick him to win, but that's really where I'm at right now.
Skeeves is in the same boat as Jackson Holiday. He'll be up. I mean, it's not like Pittsburgh has some overwhelming depth at pitching staff. It's just a matter of it's just another year they have to wait to pay him, and that's all it's going to be. And that's the only reason. Same reason as with Baltimore, it allows them to space out all those contracts. They're going to have to give those kids a little bit. But I have Jackson Chourio as well. Like Gene said, we talked about the number 1 and 3. This kid's number 2. Very versatile defensively. Can play the outfield, can play the infield. 5-tool kid, explosive. Kind of a guy. He almost he's a lot like Jackson Holiday in the aspect that he's so smooth. He almost makes it look too easy sometimes. And I agree with Gene. I know Yamamoto is the betting favorite. I have not liked what I've seen what bit so far from his spring training and everything else. He's just getting hit hard. I don't even care about
There's no control either. None.
Yeah, and he's becoming a 2-pitch pitcher until he gets his feel back for those third and fourth pitches and can start throwing them for strikes. I don't care how hard you throw it. You throw a straight 98-mile-per-hour fastball, guys in the major league are going to hit it, and that's where he's at right now. And it will change again. I don't think he's going to have a bad year, but he just hasn't had the start for me to have any kind of confidence of picking him. So I'm going with Jackson.
Yeah, this is a sweep on the board. Best pitcher in the American League, and the other Cy Young candidate is out probably at least for 2 months. I think he's out for the year. I love Corbin Burns. That Orioles lineup is loaded. He's going to get support. Corbin Burns, pretty easy pick for me. Didn't think twice, just wrote his name in.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. I think Corbin Burns is kind of an easy pick, especially with, Garrett Cole. I think Garrett Cole's going to pitch, but I also think they're going to err on the side of caution there, and I think they're going to shut him down for a while. I don't think you're going to see Garrett Cole till June. And I think that's smart as long as they're winning games. But he's also going to have the advantage of pitching against a lot of guys for the first time that have never seen him in the American League. So first time around, that's always a huge advantage for the pitchers. So I think he has a pretty, with that lineup behind him as well. I think Corbin Burns has a huge year in Baltimore. It was a great move to go out and get him. It's a win now type
very
move.
Sound defensively too. It's like
Yes.
he doesn't give away extra hits or extra runs.
That's a great point. And I think the biggest thing though is him going over to the AL, and like you mentioned, Bill, them not having, obviously they've played against them before, but just them not being able to know exactly what that's going to look like those first couple times around. So I think Corbin runs away with it, especially with Garrett Cole being hurt and DeGrom not starting the year out right away with Texas.
And we got NL. Guys, I would love for Zach Wheeler to win this award. I think he can. I think he finishes second. Best pitcher in baseball right now, Spencer Strider, on every single metric. He has the best lineup behind him. He's got one of the best defenses behind him. Spencer Strider's got great stuff. He's damn near unhittable. He looks even better this preseason than he looked last year, this spring training than last year. Spencer Strider runs away with it.
Go ahead, Control.
All right. So yeah, I mean, I'm with Gene on this one. Spencer, for a good portion of last year, he was kind of leader in the clubhouse. ERA took a little bit of a hit later on in the year, and kind of fell off the map there towards the end of the season. But I think this is the year where you see him get back on track, have a under 3 ERA. And the crazy part about it is that I don't think we've seen, we talked about earlier with some of the other guys. I don't think we've seen the best year from him yet. Him still being as young as he is, like, I think he's got some great stuff, and you're going to see it on display this year. And I see him being a 20+ win pitcher yet again and taking home the Cy Young.
I think Zach Wheeler is going to win the award. I think you could have made a good debate that he could have won it last year, and he was right in the thick of it the year before that. He's got his contract out of his way. He can just focus on pitching. A lot of his advanced numbers are better than Strider's. Had a lower ERA than him last year. Strider's going to win a lot of games simply because he pitches for Atlanta with that lineup. They'll outscore people. He damn near had a 4 ERA last year. I think Zach just has a better year. I think he comes out and pitches well. He's now the number 1, the ace of the staff, and he deserves it. I think he's going to pitch like it, and he's got a pretty damn good lineup behind him as well, too. So I think these guys are going to go back and forth all year. Won't be surprised if Strider wins it at all, but I think Wheeler pulls it out. I think he gets his due and finally gets his recognition, which he didn't get last year.
I hope you're right. I mean, you guys knew where I was going here. I picked him number 1. I think Juan Soto wins the MVP. I think having Aaron Judge batting behind him, its protection is huge. The short porch and right peel is huge. He is going to miss balls for home runs. That's something you need to understand. And he's got one of the best eyes in the game. So I think Juan Soto has his best year as a professional. and wins the American League MVP.
I think Jordan has a crazy year. Like I said, I think he's only 26, and we haven't seen his ceiling yet. He got MVP votes last year. I think he's the best player on that team, and I think he's going to be recognized that. I think Houston's going to be a problem this year, as long as they stay healthy. And like I said, they're going to get Verlander back at some point. They bolster the bullpen. They still have Framber. They still have Christian Javier. They're going to get Lance McCullers back at some point. Astros are going to be a problem. He's their best player. I think he goes for 40 plus, 120 plus. And the kid just keeps getting better. He's a complete hitter. You want to talk about the best hitters in baseball? 2 of the top 5 are on the screen right now. So he's in that category. Won't be surprised if Soto wins. Won't be surprised if Cottrell's pick wins either. But I'm going with Jordan Alvarez this year.
And for me, I got Julio Rodriguez. Again, I keep saying it, how high I am on the Mariners this year. I think he's going to be the biggest part of it. I think you finally see him break that 40 home run barrier. And the other thing that he has going for him as well is that he can be dangerous on the bases as well. I think this is a guy that can potentially give you 30 plus stolen bases as well. So I think with what he's going to do and the success the Mariners are going to have, I think this is the year that he finally takes over and he's going to get that MVP award. And the nice thing with these guys is that I know Ohtani just hasn't won it every year, but now with him out of the AL, this award is really wide open.
Agreed. It's going to be fun to hear. All right, so NL, I previewed this when we did second baseman's list. I think Mookie Betts has one of the best years in all of baseball. He has already shown you in the Soul Series he is on top of the ball. Not the Soul, the Soul Series on top of the ball. He's crushing it. He had 2 balls that should have been home runs that weren't. He got all of the last one. Mookie Betts is a great fielder. I know he's going to be playing shortstop this year. That's tough for him, but he is an incredible hitter. And I think his offensive numbers, being the catalyst, having Ohtani behind him, having Freddie Freeman behind him, and him being the terror he is, I think Mookie Betts is the straw that stirs the pot for the LA Dodgers.
I'm going with Acuna to go back-to-back. I said it earlier. He's the match that lights the fire for Atlanta. I think his stolen bases separates him from other people. And the one reason I didn't pick Mookie is I don't think Mookie's going to be able to fall back on the reputation of being one of the best outfielders in baseball like he has before. I think his defensive stats are going to hurt him this year. I think he's going to be a good shortstop. I don't think he's going to be elite. Like I said, playing shortstop in Major League Baseball is completely different than second base. It's way different than playing right field where he is debatably the best. So I like Acuna Jr. to repeat. I think he steals probably as many bases as he did last year, maybe not more. I think he gets into the 40s in home runs. He's going to hit 300. He's going to be 120 plus probably on runs and RBIs. So that is a monster all-time type year. I think he's capable of it. So I'm going Acuna Jr.
I got Mookie Betts here. Mookie Betts is, he has an MVP award under his belt already. And I just think that Dodgers lineup is absolutely insane. I know we still got to wait to see ultimately what goes on with Shohei. With Shohei in the lineup, with him out of the lineup, I think Mookie's numbers are going to just absolutely be insane. You talk about a guy that's going to bring in 140 plus runs and, potentially hit 40 home runs. Like, I just think what he does at the plate is absolutely nuts. And I do think it's going to take him a little while to adjust defensively at shortstop, but I trust the athlete that Mookie is, that, he can figure it out there and still give you some incredible plays as well there too. And I just think the Dodgers are going to end up having the best record overall in baseball. So if it comes down, it's really close numbers-wise between him and Acuna, I ultimately think Mookie's going to get it by being the best player on the best team in baseball.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so World Series predictions. Get into it.
All right, so I'll go first then. I got the Seattle Mariners going all the way to the World Series. And I got them taking on the LA Dodgers. And ultimately, I got the Dodgers winning it. I just don't see a team taking them out. I think talent is too much. And I think they're going to buy a World Series win in 2024.
I completely disagree with you. I don't have either team. I have the Braves, deepest team on both sides of the ball. I have the Braves over the Orioles. I think the Orioles get it done in the American League. I have the Braves beating the Orioles in 5 games. I think the Braves, this is the year that they absolutely obliterate baseball.
Well, I agree with one of Gene's teams. I agree that the upstart Baltimore Orioles are going to make the World Series this year. I think they're going to play a team that is just slightly north up I-95. I think they're going to play the Philadelphia Phillies.
I love it.
I think the Phillies are just all the interviews I've seen with Bryce, with Schwarber. Bryce has thought it has a different feel to it. The guys are extremely driven, pissed off, hungry. I think they're the best bullpen in baseball. They have great starters. And you can slice it however you want. They're Atlanta's kryptonite in the playoffs. I think it comes down to Atlanta and Philly again at the end. And I say that because I don't think Shohei Ohtani is playing baseball at the end of this season. I think that is going to be a bigger story and just an enormous distraction for the Los Angeles Dodgers all year. I don't think the Dodgers make it this year. I don't. I'm going the Phillies over Baltimore in 7 games.
I love it.
For what it's worth, you guys always call me the homer, but I don't think we've ever had a baseball preview show where Bill didn't pick the Phillies to win the World Series.
Whoa. You can't call me a homer on this one. I picked the hated rival.
I didn't say you. I'm just saying in general.
So every other show has touched on it already. It's kind of old news, but it's still the number one piece of news in all baseball. So let's give our quick opinion on Shohei Ohtani. Guys, I'm going to be very clear when I say this. I believe that there's something fishy to happen. I believe he's going to get fined. I believe there might be a slight suspension involved in it. I don't think he bet on baseball. I don't think he bet on any sport. I think he gave money to a friend that was in a gambling debt and then realized it was illegal and backtracked it like ridiculously. With that being said, I need to speak to all the morons out there that keep comparing this to Pete Rose. Please, innocent until proven guilty. Please allow the process to play out and don't compare him to a piece of garbage like Pete Rose. You're talking about a guy that had sex with a 15-year-old girl as an adult, and then when a female reporter asked him about it, he goes, "That was 50 years ago, babe." Didn't even deny it. He is an awful human being. Statutory rape. Betting on baseball, betting on his own games of baseball. He's a sexist. He's a misogynist. He's a terrible person. Shohei has shown you nothing but class. If you want to presume guilt, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I just want to ask you the question. If this was Freddie Freeman, if this was any other player that wasn't a Japanese ball player, how would your reaction be? That's all I want to ask, right? Look, could he be guilty of something? I think so. There's way too many holes in the story. But please let the process played out. We all called Matt Ariza a scumbag and then found out he had nothing to do with anything and half his career got ruined. Let's make sure we have the truth before we allow us to just pass judgment on a guy.
So I'll say this. I agree with most of what you said about Pete. I think some people are just, making a comparison between the betting, in that situation, not so much what type of human being they are. Most of what I've seen anyway, but you've probably seen.
Let him in the Hall of Fame. Like, Pete's got to be in because Ohtani's betting on baseball, and it's driving me nuts. Like the guy, Pete Rose even made a video. Idiot came out and made a video about I should as another dude, stop. The guy is an asshole. Stop staking your claim to that scumbag.
I get it, and I don't really disagree with anything you said. I think they're two separate things, and I think they need to be separated as such. There's plenty of assholes and racists and misogynists and everything else that are in the Baseball Hall of Fame already. But that being said, it's a different discussion for a different day because he is a piece of shit. I don't think Shohei bet on baseball. I don't. I've been very clear about that from everybody I've talked to. I do not buy his story for 1 second. People are leaving out the huge fact of why the story got changed very quickly, because the guy that they were funneling money to was already under surveillance by the FBI. They changed their story because right when this came out, the Department of Justice said they're opening an investigation. And then all of a sudden it became circle the wagons. You can't say this. You got to say this happened, not this. That's why he didn't take any questions at his press conference like he was going to, because and he didn't address anything major at the press conference. Cool. He said he didn't bet on baseball. I believe that. That's fine. But I do not believe the guy that you spend every second with in your life has access to your personal bank accounts and sent $4.5 million to somebody without your knowledge, which is what their story is now. That didn't happen. And if you believe that, you're a fool. I'm sorry. There's no way it happened. Shohei knew what was going on. Do I agree to some degree that maybe he did it out of the kindness of his heart because they are that close and they are, that is kind of like, their culture? Sure. I wouldn't disagree with that. But they're lying about it now because they found out it was illegal.
Shai, I think the one thing that I want to kind of push back on you on, I think they changed their story. I agree with you, but I think they changed it because I don't think he knew gambling was illegal in California. I think that's what happened. They were like, oh, like I helped him out, and then, oh, gambling's illegal in California. Oh shit, let me get away from that. Let me just blame it all on him and get away from it.
I'm not going with that because anybody who comes in the major league goes through the same courses. And he played with the Angels before he went to the Dodgers. So it's not like he went from PA where you're allowed to gamble on FanDuel and went to California where it's illegal. He knew full from the get-go. He went through those courses just like everybody else. He knew he couldn't gamble in California. And the biggest part about this is it's not even so much that. This guy that is under investigation that brought all this to light runs an offshore book, which is even more illegal in the U.S. now. So stupidity can't be your defense. It can't. It's never anybody's defense. So again, I don't think Shohei bet on baseball. I don't. But I don't believe for 1 second that he didn't know what was going on and that he didn't approve it and wasn't involved with all this at all. I don't.
Completely agree with you.
I mean, I think, Derek Dempsey, funny. He said he doesn't know English. He didn't understand. But I mean, ultimately, though, I think that where we are here is that he's going to, I think, get a fine. I don't necessarily think he gets suspended here. I have a lot of skepticism about why the stories have changed. I know both of you guys have already hit on that. For me, it feels like, I'm not going to say they were in on it together because I don't want to act like I'm placing blame on Shohei, but I fully think that Shohei knew what was going on there. And even if that's the case, I know your defense can't be stupidity, Gene. Like, I hear you on that, but I don't know how crazy it looks if it's like, hey, my friend was in debt. I didn't know it was, a gambling debt per se, but he was in debt. I gave him the money. As opposed to, oh, this guy was stealing from me. Because I think that's an even bigger thing because, you would think that, all right, well, if that's the case, then there needs to be criminal charges against him, like grand larceny, because that sum was so big. And now this guy who, if you were just giving him money, he's going to be looking at, federal prison time because of this whole situation, if this case goes into the wrong hands. So I would be very curious to see how this all plays out. I think Shohei knew about it. I do think that, he may not have realized it was as big of a deal as it was, but I absolutely hate that, it's coming out now and looking like they're just going to be like, hey, he stole all this money. And if that's what happened, cool, get the guy, he needed to be fired. He needs to go to prison. All that has to happen. But the inconsistencies just really make me believe that wasn't the case.
The best question that remains unanswered is ESPN constantly keeps asking this, and it's become unanswered. Okay, you said you reported to the authorities, and you're letting the authorities handle it. Who did you report it to? Just give us who you report to, and we'll ask them. And they won't answer that. I don't think they even reported it to the authorities. I think that he's trying to keep his friend out of trouble, send him back overseas, and then try to rid his name of any guilt.
In my
can't
mind,
have both.
There's no way that they could have reported it because if that was the case, then, police would have, questioned him, probably, taking
Right.
him into
If you're
custody,
reporting
things
it,
like
you're
that.
admitting you're guilty in it. They didn't report it to anybody.
Exactly. And the team wouldn't even had a chance to get out there and get in front of everybody and be like, hey, this story's about to come out. Like, it would have just came out like, hey, Shohei Ohtani's interpreter just got arrested. And we don't know exactly what it's for yet, but he got arrested, stories to come, things like that.
I find it very interesting that he got arrested when he was in Seoul, too. I found that very interesting also.
So just to add this to it, as of this afternoon, Ohtani has hired a crisis PR team. Here are their last 7 clients in the last 3 years. Alec Baldwin, Harvey Weinstein, Hillary Clinton, Danny Masterson, Arnie Hammer, and Prince Andrew. Again, not somebody you hire if you're innocent.
I don't disagree with you. We got to move forward. I just wanted to give an opinion on this. Let's get to the movie. Let's get to the sports characters bracket. We got to get into what is this? The Sweet 16, or is this the round of 32?
Where do you want to start?
I think we're doing the East and the South tonight.
Yep, East and South.
Okay, so
I'm ready. Sports characters. Let's lighten up the show a little bit. Lighten up the mood. All right, is this where we're starting? Roy Hobbs? Where do you want to start? At the top?
Wherever you guys want to
Start
go.
at the top. I'm good with it. Rocky Balboa, the Italian Stallion. I'm sorry, Ted. Love me some Ted Lasso. Barbecue sauce. Boom. Love Ted Lasso. Great character. He's not the Italian Stallion. He's not Rocky Balboa. This is Balboa in a landslide. He doesn't even need to come back in this one. There's no comeback needed.
Yeah, there's not really much to say, with this. Rocky by landslide is definitely the easiest way to put it. So I won't even take up too much time getting into Rocky.
I'm going with Rocky. I don't think it's a landslide. I think you guys are selling Tad a little short. But
I love
Rocky is definitely the answer.
No cut. I agree.
We'll give him 1.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie said it was closer, so we'll just give him 1. This is a fun one because it really depends on what this is good versus bad. This is what this is, right? Charlie, lead it off. I'm not going to take first. I'm not going to take first on everyone like I did last time.
We'll rotate. We got to rotate. So Charles got the next one. We got to stick consistent with it.
I'm with it.
It's kind of a good versus evil thing. I think Drago is still, however you cut it, he's still the secondary character in the movie to Rocky, who we just saw was the 1 seed. The whole movie is about Maximus, and I hate to say it, Drago lost at the end. Maximus won. Maximus killed Caesar and gave his life to do it. So I'm going Maximus.
So my next then, Gene?
Sure.
Let me go next here. All right, well, I had Maximus losing in the first round, so I'm doubling down on that here in this round. Give me Ivan Drago to take care of business.
Oh.
I think Drago is one of the best villains, of all time. I think if you put together a villain bracket, I think he can make a strong run to the Elite 8. So I got Drago moving on here.
Here's the problem, right? I love Drago. Rocky 4 is my favorite movie. 100%. I think he's a great villain. I think that if we're talking about villain versus good and who won versus who lost, Shooter McGavin lost. He's a 1 seed. So let's keep it consistent there. With that being said, I would love to pick Ivan Drago here. I can't do it. He had 3 lines in the whole movie. I love him as a villain. And if we can add in the secondary character he had in Creed and get the whole scope of it, which I do. I love him in Creed. I think he's a great father. I feel terrible about his wife leaving him and his son, but I gotta go Maximus here. I'm entertained. I'm entertained, but by the slightest of margins, I'm going Maximus over Drago. I'm not setting up another Rocky versus Drago matchup. Guys, get out of control. I'm telling you already know where I'm going.
It's going to suck for me.
I'm fully aware of where you're going. I'm going with Crash Davis. I'll make it interesting for the people. Kevin Costner, obviously, the movie in the movie. As much as I love Teddy KGB, again, I've got to be consistent here. I had Teddy going home last time. He talked about him splashing the pot, talk about, getting him his Oreos, all that stuff. I got Crash taking him out.
Look, Crash is the man. I'm sorry, but I splash the pot whenever the fuck I please. Guys, I'm not going to lie to you. When I first watched Rounders, and I'm watching the original clip, the beginning where Mike loses $30,000 to KGB, I'm like, there's no way Mike's beating his hand with the ace-9. The board was ace-9-8. He had top 2. He turned the full house. He is thinking about Showboat. He's thinking about Bellagio. And Teddy KGB turns over to pocket aces. He had the full boat, aces over 9s. I'm going Teddy KGB. I think he's incredible. The Oreos, the tell with the Oreos, whether he eats the Oreos when he has a good hand and he doesn't eat the Oreos when he's bluffing. Love the whole thing. I'm going Teddy KGB. He's an incredible villain. John Malkovich. You want to talk about, if you watch John Malkovich in any other movie and then watch him as Teddy KGB, that's an incredible job acting.
John Malkovich is just an incredible actor, and the man literally can't play anything. I'm not going to string this out. I am going to go with my head on this one. I'm going with Crash Davis. I love Teddy. I love Rounders. I love that me and Gene kind of have such a high infinity for the movie, and give it its due. Probably more than it should sometimes.
Yeah,
Crash is an all-time character, though. All the funny stuff he did, all the little in and outs that he learned, from being in the minors forever, and he's such an integral part of that movie. And I just can't vote for Teddy over him. I wish Teddy was in the movie more because he was, then I think it would be a different discussion. But if you take everything into consideration, I think Crash ekes it out.
Fun fact about both of these movies, I did not watch either of them until we did our original bracket. I forgot if it was a characters bracket, not characters, but the movie bracket, whatever it was. That was the first time I actually I got a chance to watch both of these movies.
Teddy, that was Rounders. Good Lord. Rounders was George Mason in that bracket. This is insane. I hate that this is a matchup. I got to go first on this one. I'm going Roy Hobbs. I'm not even going to draw this one out. I'm going Roy Hobbs over Billy Chappell. And just because of what it meant, I don't feel like crying today. I'm going Roy Hobbs.
I'm going to take the suspense out of this because I'm going to go Roy Hobbs as well. I would say For Love of the Game is a movie that has grown on me a lot the last couple of years. I remember when it first came out, I didn't watch it. It's probably out 4 or 5 years before I finally saw it. And now I've easily seen it 10, 15 times. I think it's great. I just think you're going against Roy Hobbs and The Natural, which is still to this day on some people's list the best baseball movie ever made. So Roy Hobbs is just a crazy character. I'm going Roy Hobbs.
Great character.
Yeah, I got Roy Hobbs here for the sweep here. You guys are talking about it being tough. For me, this one wasn't necessarily that tough. I thought that one was pretty easy.
Yeah, I agree. And if Roy Hobbs hit against Billy Chappell, Roy Hobbs is taking him deep.
And a career Billy Chappell, yeah. Roy Hobbs probably breaks up the perfect game.
I agree.
All right, so looks like when we get over to the Elite Eight,
are we chalk here?
Rocky, we are 1-4 and 2-3.
Chalk in other brackets.
No, some of the others will not be.
I only there's only one guy out of the 4 left I think can win the whole thing.
All right. Now what?
South.
All right, let's go ahead and get over to the South then.
Well, Bobby Boucher action. Mama's calling.
Hey, this is
this is it.
Age-old debate.
Battle of the short bus. Here we go.
Guys, I was going to pick against Forrest because I didn't think about the ping pong last time, right?
You're welcome.
And no, you're right. Forrest would not have been here. But he is not winning the Bourbon Bowl. And if these two guys meet around the edge, Forrest is running home trying to find Jenny, but he said something bad about Bobby's mama. I'm telling you right now, Bobby is playing them, and there's no hip drop tackle needed. Bobby Boucher, because of mama said.
I mean, I got Bobby here as well. And you talk about Forrest and his extra sports. Well, according to Mama, Bobby plays foosball anyway. So that's an extra sport for Bobby in my book. So I got Bobby here, and I think Bobby's taking out Forrest. If you meet Forrest in the hole, he's taking him out. And I think Bobby could even chase down Forrest like DK did Buda Baker a couple years ago if it came down to it. Forrest is fast. Bobby's going to get him. Bobby's going to get him. I'm telling you, he's going to get him.
Forrest going to the house, bro.
Forrest going to the house.
He's going to get the
angle. Forrest has a leg on him, he can't catch him. I'm telling you that right now.
He's going to get him.
It's all about the edge. Bobby beats him to the edge or not. If Forrest gets around that edge, gone. See it. That being said, I would have picked Bobby as well if it would have mattered. I think Forrest, as well-rounded as he is in some other things, I think Bobby's the better football player. And he's a little bit more dominant in his position. So I would have went with Bobby.
Ping pong is Forrest. I agree with you, Derek. Ping pong is Forrest. Now, listen. He's still here. I know Mo said Eric Taylor's eliminated. He's not eliminated yet. But hopefully I make Bill. You got to go first on this one. Because we're going to put Bill in the worst spot. That's what we're going to do. I know exactly where you're going. I know exactly where I'm going. And I'm going to put him in the worst spot, and I cannot wait to do it. I wish I could see him.
I got faith in Bill. Eric Taylor is the pick here. Talk about him as a character. He's a great father, great coach. He's won at different high schools, even went up to the college level, had some success there. And I mean, a guy like Matt Saracen, you coach him to be a state champion. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that as a character. Clear eyes, full heart, can't lose. I got Eric Taylor moving on.
He can lose because he's going against Roy McAvoy. And Roy McAvoy's taking another drop. He's taking another drop, and he is hitting that. He's hitting the pin. There's no doubt about it. And I know Shally. He's a golfer. He's going to take this drop, and he's going to smack it because Roy McAvoy was winning the tournament and decided he was not going to throw it. He's taking another drop. He almost got cut. Didn't matter. Hit the cut line because he hit the pin and he knew how to win. Tin Cup, Kevin Costner, Roy McAvoy for the win. Shally, you're not going to let me down. I know you won't.
Listen to Mo. He even dealt with Riggins. He dealt with Voodoo. He dealt with his starting quarterback. That was going to be a Division I player. He dealt with him
was a whole nother tournament. I'm not. I'm telling you right now. He's got one more round to win. If he wins another round, I'm quitting. You guys can play this yourself.
That's fine. Quitters never win. You wouldn't have been able to play for Eric Taylor.
I'm tired of getting this 2-1 bull crap. I wouldn't play for Eric Taylor. This guy's a wiener.
I wasn't even supposed to go last on this one either. Gene set this up.
100%.
Yeah, this is tough.
You don't take Roy. We're not talking about the Masters on the show.
Well, I mean, that's not gonna happen. We're talking about the Masters.
I'm kidding.
At the end of the day, I mean, you got to give Roy credit. He did it his own way, which was, I think that speaks to his character a little bit. Didn't win though, versus the guy who wins everywhere with everybody.
Doesn't matter.
He took. He took a nerd and turned him into QB1 and won a state championship.
There we go.
Great husband, great father, great friend, great coach. When it's all said and done, all that matters is clear hearts, full eyes, can't lose. Eric Taylor for me.
I hate this friggin' bracket already.
We'll keep it close though. We'll give him 3.
Let's see.
You're gonna be more mad when Bobby loses next week.
I'm telling you, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
Gene, you might be the only person in all of America that doesn't like Friday Night Lights.
Seriously, I don't. That is the 100% truth. I don't mean to say this when like I don't mean this to sound sexist at all. Like every female I know that watched that show loves that show.
And I'm not
You're
a
the
female.
only person I know. Yeah, but you're the only male I know that doesn't like that show.
I'm done. Paul Wrecking Crew. Shall I get to start this one? Paul Wrecking Crew versus Ricky Bobby.
QB of the Mean Machine. Prison takes on the guards. And then Ricky Bobby, the old NASCAR driver from Talladega Nights. This is easy for me. I'm going Paul Wrecking Crew here.
All right. Well, I'm going to make it hard for Cottrell because I don't think it's easy. I'm going Ricky Bobby. Number one, Ricky Bobby slingshot himself in the first place. One of the greatest drivers of all time. By the way, how many games did Ricky Bobby throw? He didn't throw any of them. He always wanted to win. He wasn't shaving points. Scumbag Wrecking Crew was. Why did he was in jail? We're talking about inmates here. Are we serious right now? Ricky Bobby was also an incredible. Hold on. Ricky Bobby was also an incredible spokesperson. Drink Mountain Dew because F you if you don't.
There's a jungle cat in my car.
I'm going Ricky Bobby here. Come on, Will Ferrell.
Gene, you're gonna get your right on this one. I got Ricky Bobby as well. Because if you're not first, you're last.
Exactly.
And I love the way Ricky took care of business. Love the character as a whole, absolutely. And I got him with the upset here. So we got our first 6 seed moving on.
Exactly. I mean, listen, we're talking about a convict in Paul Wrecking Crew. Guy's illegally driving drunk. There's a lot of bad things about this guy. We could have really updated the name here, but whatever. We wouldn't do it. It's Tony D'Amato versus his former coach, his former quarterback, Steamin' Willie Beeman. Cottrell, you're first on this one.
All right. Well, for me, I gotta go with Willie here. I thought Willie was the better character in the movie. You talk about Tony getting the most out of Willie here. Willie kept me entertained more often, and I gotta go with Steamin' Willie Beeman in this one. Derek Dempsey absolutely beat the rap played a big part. Willie's rap greater than Tony's speech.
No, bro, don't do that.
I did it.
I did it.
I did it.
That rap is not better than Tony's speech. You're out of your damn mind.
With the music video? With the music video? Come on.
It's a terrible song. They call me Steamin' Willie Beeman.
Oh, yeah, it's terrible when you perform it.
It's terrible. Tony D'Amato's speech moves me still to this day.
I'm with Dempsey.
Shall, you're up.
If we're gonna get critical of what people do, Willie Beeman wasn't the best teammate in the world, getting in fights with LL Cool J and every other damn thing in the world. Tony D'Amato wasn't really the best guy either. For being honest. For me, see, you know what? I was gonna go one way, now I'm going the other way. I'm putting this on Gene. I'm going Tony D'Amato. I think the speech puts him over the top for me. It's an all-time top 5 motivational, monologue in a sports movie. It's incredible. And then I will say he leaves Miami and then goes to Arizona with him to keep coaching him and keep making him better. So I'm going with Tony.
This was so easy to me. So easy to me. I was steaming Willie Beeman easy here until Cottrell made that comment. When you want to say that rap video is better than one of the greatest speeches ever, you got to understand something real quick. Tony D'Amato is a terrible coach. Terrible coach. And by the way, they got blown out the next week. We forget that happened. They won the playoff game after they started Cap, even though Cap shouldn't have been started, and he got hurt at halftime. And Willie Beeman starts the second half with an interception. Come on, stop it. Tony D'Amato was a bad coach. He's a bad person, cheated on his wife, pissed away all his money. Great speech. Cottrell almost swayed me to vote the other way, but I got to go Steam Willie Beeman. He's the better character. Sports character, it's Steam and Willie Beeman. I'll tell you right now, better watch what you say, though. I will vote out of spite.
Hey, I said what I said, and just like Dempsey said, Willie was standing on business, and so am I.
All right, so is that it for this week?
That is it.
Next week, we got Bobby Boucher versus Eric Taylor. I will not be here for that show. I swear to God, I'm not doing it. Ricky Bobby versus Steam and Willie Beeman. That's fun. I like it. Well, next week we're going to do, I won't be here for that show. I will cast my vote from Mexico because 2 weeks from now, you guys are going to do the other one. I will cast my vote for Mexico. If I come back and I see Eric Taylor is still in this goddamn tournament, I'm done. I'm done.
I'm
Five seed make the Final Four sometimes.
No.
Last year, you saw it.
Yeah, true.
Miami.
I'm done with you guys. I will hand in my resignation.
You need to stop being so damn difficult and just come over to the Friday Night Lights appreciation side.
Can't appreciate it. It's a cheeseball show.
Gene, you say that and then watch All American every year. Like, I don't get it.
I was something to say, dude. Like something like you can't like you yeah, because it stinks. You can't come back and like be like cheese like throw cheese ball in Friday Night Lights fans' faces when like you're constantly talking about like the challenge, bro. Like there's nothing more cheesy than the challenge.
The challenge is amazing. And it's reality television.
Garbage,
it's
dude.
Fake reality.
It's not
reality.
fake. They're competing for real money. How about
God.
fake? Eric Taylor never lost because it was scripted.
Well, he did lose. If you'd watched the show, you would know that.
Yeah.
Well, I know he lost. I'm just saying. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm done. Let's get my offensive lineman list. I'm tired of you scumbags. Challenge is an awesome show. CT, baby.
Gosh. Yeah, CT. Guy can't hold a job. He just shows up for MTV shows every year.
He doesn't need to hold a job. Guy makes money.
Bill, this is you, buddy.
Always going first on these. Damn.
Dude, I'll go first. I don't mind. So you can
I'll go. I'm good. All right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think lineman this year, I think is kind of a pretty clear-cut type thing. I mean, I guess you could have them in different order, but I'm going with J.C. Latham from Alabama, number 5. Probably going to play left tackle in the NFL. Very good against the run. Pretty athletic and agile for his size. Going to need to work on his pass pro a little bit. Also, he's very good at zone blocking schemes, which is obviously good for the NFL because a lot of teams run it, but struggles elsewhere sometimes in the run game. But overall, just another really solid Alabama prospect to come out of, the Nick Saban. Well, it'll be the last one to come out of the Nick Saban era at Alabama, but probably low first round talent. These guys are all going to go in the first round, probably. Number 4, got my guy from Penn State. Big fan of him, actually. Olu Fashanu. Probably another left tackle, or probably right tackle, probably in the league, excuse me. Very athletic, needs to work on his hands. Another kid, very good at run blocking, very good at the zone scheme as well. His weakness, believe it or not, is pass pro. And if you watch Penn State play this year, you would see it quite often. Still a pretty high ceiling for the kid. He's probably a first rounder. He'll probably be a very solid NFL player. Talise Fiaga, Oregon State, kind of goes under the radar because he plays for Oregon State. A lot of guys don't know who he is. Doesn't get a lot of the press that the next guy does. Solid all around, a little bit undersized. Probably in the right system, could probably even go down to guard, but he's probably going to play tackle in the NFL. The big knock on him is he doesn't pick things up as quick as he should sometimes. If he gets the guy engaged in front of him, he's very good. He's very technical, very strong. He just struggles with with complicated blitz schemes sometimes. But overall, they'll teach him how to do that. Very, very, very good blocker. I think he's a very successful NFL career. These next two guys, I think, are a little bit ahead of everybody else, and I think number one guy is just in a class by himself. Troy Fautanu from Washington really broke onto the scene, part of the Joe Moore award-winning offensive line from this year. Will be able to play either side. He'll probably play blind side for whoever drafts him for their quarterback, unless they have some kind of stud there already, but they probably don't if they're drafting him. Very good at pass pro, very athletic, can move, good with his hands, strong. Another one, really strong kid. I think he's going to project to be a very good NFL player. Last but not least, Joe Alt should be number one on everybody's list. He is elite. He is an elite tackle. He will play blindside for whoever drafts him. This kid has the potential to be a all-pro, maybe Hall of Fame type kid. Can do everything well. There's no weakness in his game. Very good athlete, very smart. He's been in the top-rated tackle for the last 2 years, actually. He just wasn't draft eligible yet. Joe Alt is a very, very good football player. Probably goes in the top 10. Mixed in with all these quarterbacks and a couple wide receivers, that tells you all you need to know about how good his talent is and how he's viewed in the NFL. So Joe Alt is, miles by far and away the best tackle prospect in this draft.
All right, so I'm next up here. My five look just slightly different here. Number 5 for me, I got Jackson Powers Johnson from Oregon. He's the best center in this class, and I know that interior offensive linemen get viewed differently than the tackles do, especially those left tackles. But I mean, I think the interior matters, and he's as dominant as he gets there. I think he's going to go in, and he's going to come into the league, and I think he could potentially be a top 10 center right away. Love his talent there. I think he's going to be special at the next level. Number 4, I got Tyler Guyton. Weird thing about Tyler Guyton is that he's a guy that's a little bit more of a project. I think he has all the skill set in the world. He has great size as well. He's just going to have to go somewhere where they can work with him a lot. I think Tyler Guyton could potentially be a good piece for a team like Tennessee. Maybe if they trade back and, he goes to a guy like Bill Callahan, I think that's a great guy to go and learn from. But I love Tyler Guyton's upside. And I think when his career is all said and done, you're going to look back and look at him as one of the top 5 prospects in this class. Number 3, I got J.C. Latham. Again, another kid that has all the talent in the world. The biggest question mark is with him is that, he says he can play left tackle, but his entire career at Alabama, he played right tackle. And, we saw in years past, especially with like Dredrick Wills from the Cleveland Browns, he was a right tackle at Alabama, then switched over to left tackle in the league. And, he hasn't quite made that adjustment as seamless as a lot of people had hoped. I think JC has the talent to do so, but question mark remains, if a team drafts him to play left tackle. I think if he stays at right, he could be a plug-and-play guy, though. Number 2 for me is Olu Fashanu from Penn State. I think that Olu has been, all year, he was the second best lineman in this class. A lot of people are starting to overthink it, in my opinion. He could have came out last year and been a top 15 guy in that first round. I think he come in, he's going to play left tackle in the league and start right away and be very dominant. And then number 1 for me, I have Joe Alt as well from Notre Dame. This is the best lineman in the class. There's no holes in his game. He comes from a lineage of offensive linemen. His dad played in the NFL as well on the O-line. So Joe Alt has all the tools, and he's going to definitely be the best lineman in this class.
I'm ready. I have Talise Fuagu, number 5. I think he translates to a guard at the next level, not tackle. I think he's a mauler. Love the way this kid plays. You want to add toughness to your football program? 100%. This guy's a guy you want to add to your program. I think he transitions to be one of the best guards in football, but I think it's a tackle class, which is why I have number 5. Number 4, I have J.C. Latham from Alabama. He's a run blocker. That's what he is. He's a run blocker. He needs to improve his pass blocking. But I'll tell you right now, you get him in a run blocking scheme, you get him in a team like the Chargers, you get him on a team that wants to run the football like the Ravens, he is going to be a stud. He can walk right in to play right tackle, which is so needed in the NFL. Teams constantly draft left tackles for their quarterback's blind side and then try to convert left tackles into right tackles. J.C. Latham can literally walk in the door and be your starting right tackle tomorrow. That's why I have number 4. Number 3, I guess the only guy has this guy on my list, Amarius Mims. This guy is huge. 6'7", 6'8", 340 pounds. This is a monster. You get him with the right offensive line system and protection, the right coaching to teach this guy up. He could be an elite left tackle in football. Guy is a monster. He's not a guy you want to run into in a dark alleyway. I'm going to take him. Amarius Mims, number 3. Olu Fashanu, I have number 2. He is one of the youngest prospects in this draft. The guy is elite athleticism. He is a freak of nature. Once again, right system, right coaching. He could be a Hall of Famer at the tackle position because that's how his athleticism is. This guy's going to translate into being one of the best tackles in all football if he lands with the right coaching. You need a Jeff Stoutland type guy. I would love to see him land in Philadelphia, get him with Stoutland, have him sit a year behind Lane Johnson and Mailata, and be able to transition him when Lane walks out the door, because that's how good this kid can be. But, guys, I haven't seen it anywhere. I need to see it more. I'm getting the T-shirts made. Control. Yes, Joe Alt controls the line of scrimmage. Control, Alt, delete. Deletes the pass rusher. The guy is next level at the tackle position. Control, Alt, delete. Get the T-shirts made. Joe Alt, best tackle in the league. He needs a nickname. Control, Alt, delete. Gentlemen, you got to be kidding me. Anything else before we get rolling?
No, that's it. And I think it's fun looking back on some of our list in years past, how high we were on Penei Sewell and I know I said Hall of Fame talent and things like that. And of course, you guys agreed how great he was going to be. And now you see it in fruition, in real time now. So 2 or 3 years and we're still doing the podcast, and Joe Alt's one of the best left tackles in football. It would just be pretty cool to see. That's why I love doing these lists.
I'm putting out the what is it called when you don't want anybody to steal your idea?
Trademark?
I'm putting a trademark out. Control, delete. Controls the line of scrimmage, deletes the pass rusher. Control, Alt, delete.
I like it. Bill, did you have anything else before we got into You Gotta Be Kidding Me?
No, I mean, it's I said the beginning of the show last week. I mean, we got opening day for baseball tomorrow for most teams. We got our NFL draft show coming up, which will be a couple weeks away, which is always fun. That's always a fun show that we do. We still got March Madness, and then got the granddaddy of them all. We got the Masters in 2 weeks. So this is
that's the show I'll be missing.
That's fine. That's all right. Me and Kachal, we're gonna talk. We'll talk Masters. Hell, me and Kachal probably talk F1 when you're gone. It'll be fun.
Have fun. I'm sure the viewers will appreciate it.
Everybody watches the Masters, man.
I know. I'm kidding about the Masters. I do watch the Masters. What's getting You Gotta Be Kidding Me, Cottrell?
All right, so this week for me, I'm gonna go with one that's not a traditional necessarily just one thing, but I'm gonna go with social media this week in general, and their coverage of Caleb Williams at a basketball game. So for you guys don't know, Caleb Williams went to USC supporting the women's basketball team, and camera panned over to him, and he's waving, doing all this stuff, but you go on social media and everyone's talking about him with the pink cell phone, and he's got his nails painted and things like that. And at the end of the day, kid's still a kid. I mean, I know he's 20, 21 years old at this point, and he's going to the NFL. He's going to be the first round pick, but I'm just so sick and tired of people criticizing every little thing that Caleb Williams does. And, it almost feels like people are rooting for him to not be successful in Chicago. And I hate seeing that. He's just trying to go out there and be a normal college kid. He's supporting his basketball team. And you just see everybody ridiculing him on Twitter because, he does things a little bit different, with the pink phone and the pink nails and all that stuff. So for me this week, social media, always trying to make something out of nothing, especially when it comes to Caleb Williams.
You gotta be kidding me.
I do want to give you guys just a quick tidbit. I think it's a scam or a scheme against Caleb Williams because he doesn't have an agent and they want to force him into hiring a PR team and into an agent. I think a lot of these news reports that get put out about him are plot reports to make him look bad because they want him to hire an agent and a PR team. I hate it. I do have something real quick I do want to read because I love that you brought that up. It's a quote from one of my favorite movies, but we will build you into something that doesn't exist. And that means you have to try to be that thing all day, every day. That's how it works. And we do it again and again and again. I'm going to tell you the truth. You're going to be attacked, betrayed, exposed, and humiliated. And you'll survive that. A lot of people can climb that mountain. It's the way down that breaks them. Because that's the moment when you are truly alone. And what do you do then? Can you summon the will to fight on through all the pain and rise again? Who are you, Caleb? That will be the defining question of your life. And I think you already know the answer. And that's why we are here. It's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie, Air. That's the quote to Michael Jordan in the movie. And it just reigns supreme with Caleb Williams right now. Shally, you got to be kidding me.
So, I mean, I was going to use Shohei because I figured we were going to talk about it. And it's kind of too big of a story now just to be you got to be kidding me. So I'm going to go with kind of, I don't want to say similar to Cottrell's, but I'm going to go with somebody that's I'm actually a fan of, and that's Caitlin Clark. It's you got to be kidding me for her part, and I couldn't applaud her dad more for what he did. Caitlin Clark somehow has become kind of a polarizing figure. Some people love the way she plays, some people don't. Some people think she's, she talks too much. Some people think, I don't know. There's just a lot of polarizing views on her. That being said, I think she's getting a little bit too, I don't want to say feeling herself too much, but the whole, every time she gets fouled, it becomes a temper tantrum type thing. If you're not familiar with what happened this past weekend, she was playing in a game. She got fouled. It didn't get called. She thought it should have. And she started screaming at her dad, who was in the stands. And her dad pretty much told her to shut up and go play basketball, which I loved. And she kind of threw a hissy fit at that too. Ended up having a really good game after that. I think Caitlin Clark needs to reel it in a little bit and kind of just get back to concentrating on basketball. I think with all the publicity and everything with her blowing up, she's got a $5 million offer from Ice Cube to go play in the Big Three, which I think she's crazy to not take. I think she should take it. But just her general theatrics on the court need to stop. She's an incredible basketball player. Just go play basketball. Be yourself. Don't worry about all this other stuff or showing off for the cameras. Your game is that good that it speaks for itself. Just go play basketball and be you. So for this week, Caitlin Clark.
You gotta be kidding me.
Do I need to pull the quote up and read it again? I feel like I'm not kidding. I feel like it's the same thing. They're building her up to being something that, and then they pick apart everything that she does. Bill's right. Shally's right. Like, she definitely reacted poorly, but like, you're that big, the exposure on you. Like, I don't know if that was like a regular random player on like a different team, it's not talked about. And it's just because it's Caitlin Clark and because she's so polarizing, even her arguing a call or getting mad at her dad is a national story. So I'm going to get into my You Gotta Be Kidding Me this week, which is the NFL Rules Committee. Banning the hip drop tackle. That's an absolute joke. It's lunacy what's going on in the NFL. So wait a minute. Let me just get this straight. You're not allowed to hit a guy high. In most cases, you're not allowed to hit a guy low. And then you're not allowed to grab a guy from the waist and pull him down with your weight. I'm just trying to figure out when this is going to become flag football, because that's what we're moving towards. It's a physical contact sport. I am tired of every hit, every advantage going to the offense. Next year, you're not going to be able to play zone defense. It's just going to be man coverage. Too many blindside hits. We just got to play man defense so they can know where the guys are coming from. Just make it flag football at this point. Guys, stop it. Knock it off with the rule changes in the NFL. I actually like the kickoff rule change. I think that'll be interesting. But the rule change with hip drop tackling, come on, man. This is a football. It's not badminton. We're not playing shuffleboard. We're playing football. They know what they signed up for. It's not even rough touch. You're right. For that reason, the NFL Rules Committee for banning the hip drop tackle.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm with you, Gene. I think it's absolutely crazy, and I think you're going to see you're going to see more missed tackles this year, and then two, you're going to see the plays where these hip drop tackles happen. You're going to see them change the outcome of certain games because it'd be a 4th down stop, and that's going to be something that keeps the drive alive. I know I mentioned in the comment section earlier on Coffee and Sports. If you think back to one of the greatest Super Bowls we've ever seen with the Titans and the Rams, that last tackle in that game would be by definition a hip drop tackle, and they would have got an untimed down, and we're potentially changing who the Super Bowl champion is in that situation. So I absolutely hate it. I'm hoping that this is a one and done kind of thing. We saw them, when you were able to challenge pass interference, we saw that be a thing. They took it out the following year. I'm hoping this is one of those instances and we see it gone in 2025.
Completely.
I think the problem with it is it's too broad of a rule. I mean, I think it goes back to kind of like the horse collar thing. Like, when that first came out, like you couldn't even touch the guy up there. Now it's like, no, like you have to physically have your hand in their shoulder pads. They're trying to get rid of those awful leg and ACL injuries by the guys who jump on the back of people's legs and stuff like that. I think the way to both of you guys have already brought up, the way they have shown it to the media, at least so far, it's like every third tackle in a game is going to be classified a drop hip tackle. And it's just really not in the spirit of the rule of what they want to do. So I think they're going to have to tinker it to get it right. I think it's going to suck this year because I think you're going to see it flagged a gazillion times for tackles that really aren't dangerous. And I think that's
watching flags every 5th play, dude. It
it's
drives me nuts. I want to watch football.
Well, that, and then I even disagree with you guys on the kickoff rule. I think the kickoff rule is stupid. At this point, just get rid of it. It's becoming.
It had massive success in the XFL. It was a lot of fun to watch. I'm not sure how much you watched of it, but it's.
I did. I don't like it. I know how it works. I've seen it. I think it's stupid. They've gone so backwards with it. I mean, at this point, just give the team the ball in the 20 and just be done with it.
Okay. Well, that's what we got for you this evening. Any final thoughts?
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
Shally has no camera, so we're gonna have final thoughts of Shally having a camera next week. My final thought is 10-9 victory to open the season. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
But let's thank you for tuning in to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. We are gonna be focusing a lot more on Twitch and YouTube in the future. So please, if you haven't, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Wire2Wire Sports Podcast, and give us a listen, give us a subscribe, give us a share. Thank you guys for tuning in to Wire2Wire Sports Podcast. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Cottrell. Scholastic Uncle Shally, full of BS. We are signing out.